Welcome to Answers for Living. We've been looking at being stuck in religion. And today we ask one more time, how do I know I'm stuck in religion? Here's the second answer. If I'm stuck in religion, I will be angry at God when I don't get what I ask for. And we stand beside the bed of someone that we love who has cancer, and we pray fervently for their healing. And we turn to the doctor and we say, prepare yourself for a miracle. And then 2 weeks later, we're sitting at a memorial service. And we're upset and we're angry with God. And we're asking, where were you, God? And God says, remember Gethsemane? My son said, take this cup from me. He then said, take this cup from me. He said, Father, if all things are possible for you, please take this cup from me. But notice he said something else. But not my will, but yours be done. His request was wrapped in the sovereignty of God's will. And he looks up and he sees the light from the torches and he wakes his disciples and he says, let's go meet my betrayer. The point is this. You can tell God what you want if you have been walking with him and you're willing to receive what he determines is best. I want you to be able to cast your cares on him. Matthew says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. That word yoke, that's talking about that big heavy instrument that was used with oxen so they could pull a heavy load. And Jesus says, here, let me be joined with you. I will walk with you all the way through Genesis chapter 3. You say, Genesis 3? Yeah, that's where sin messed it all up, where the wages of sin is death, and it is not gone away. Just because Jesus died on the cross doesn't mean the wages of sin is in death. And he says, I'll walk through sickness and failure and disease and economic misery, and I will walk through volatile marriages and wayward children and persecution and death. And sometimes there'll be a miracle, but most times you're not going to get a miracle. Jesus doesn't take our problems from us, but he does carry us through them. And if we have a religion that works, we will say to him, no matter how this turns out, let me shine brightly for you. So, what God really wants is this. Instead of us getting religious, he wants us to get right with him. This is where it all began to change for Israel. For 20 years they were angry with God because he didn't listen to them anymore. And they would cry out to God. At the same time, they were worshiping Baal and Asherah. Baal's the god of success, and Asherah's the god of fertility and sexuality. And boy, am I glad we don't worship those two gods in America. God calls me to follow him fully. Then he will listen and come alongside of us and deliver us. Listen carefully. If you want a God who fixes your problems, you have the wrong God. But if you fear this God, serve this God, obey this God with your whole heart, he'll be willing to listen and to help. And you will say, what gives him the right to demand my surrender? How about the cross? Man, if it wasn't for the cross, we'd be all in bad shape. But if we surrender, he will definitely hear our prayers and answer them according to his perfect will. And we will be okay with his will, because his will overrides all of my desires. God says, the day you say, God, I'm done with the way I'm living, and I will do life your way through your strength, is the day you confess and find forgiveness from this amazing God. And you'll enter into a relationship with God who walks with us, and that is the day you will leave religion that doesn't work for a relationship that does work.